everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our training session. We are going to be going through 3 modules today. The first one starting with worldview and assumptions. The second, personality type and good and bad communication. And the third, Kemper's rules of life. So we'll just go ahead and get right started.
Hi everyone, my name is Lindsay Hall, and the objective of this training session is to understand your personal worldview, how it differs from others, and to understand the assumptions that you hold of the other worldviews. This will allow you to understand why you do the things that you do and how you relate to others. Let's start by identifying all of your worldviews. Merriam-Webster defines a worldview as a comprehensive conception or apprehension of the world, especially from a specific standpoint. There are several different types of worldviews as seen in the chart on the screen.
It's a lot.
There's a lot, but I will explain them all.
Okay.
No, this is the quiz. Okay. The first worldview is hedonism, which believes that our origin is when we are born. There is no before or after we are on earth. They believe resources are limited, but pain is not because all sensory things are real. The solution to this problem is to pursue pleasure as much as possible and avoid the bad emotions such as pain and discomfort. The second worldview is skepticism, which believes that humans are the measure of all things but aren't exactly sure how we originated. They believe that reality is subjective to each individual and we can never really be sure of things. They persuade others in the same mindset through debates that they will be less skeptical and side with them. The third worldview is cynicism, which believes that humans are purely evil and only motivated by their self-interests. They believe that there is no meaning to life and that everything is pointless. They only believe in solid proof and otherwise doubt almost everything. The fourth worldview is nihilism, which believes something pretty similar to the skeptics and cynics. They don't know where we came from, but they believe that all humans are unwise and pointless. The only meaning of life is that there is no meaning, so we should all live life as we want. The fifth worldview is materialism, which goes hand in hand with evolution. Humans are only physical and there's no spirit in us. There's no objective meaning in life, and only the best should survive. They don't condemn misbehavior because there's no point since there's no consequences. The sixth worldview is relativism, which believes that nothing is absolute and all of our knowledge comes from our culture. There's no set law about what's right or wrong, and truth is objective. Their statement is, might makes right, and it stems from their belief that those in power influence the people under them and shape the way that they think. The seventh worldview is atheism, which believes that human beings are not moral and there's no explanation of how we originated. They refuse to believe in a religion and deny that there is moral truth. The eighth worldview is pantheism, which believes that God is shown through all things in the world. There's no singular spiritual force, and moral truth is shown in all people and things. The ninth worldview is deism, which believes that God is a force that gives humans wisdom. They have a want for moral truth more than a relationship with God. The 10th worldview is Judaism, which believes that there is one sole God who is all-knowing. God created humans to seek the promised land that will fulfill the truth. They believe that moral truth exists in God who tells them what is right and wrong. The 11th and final worldview is Christianity, which believes that God is composed of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and that human beings are created in His image. They believe that there is sin in the world and that the only way to be cleansed of this sin is to have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Now I would like for you all to take some time to figure out which worldview you associate most with. Take as much time as you need and let me know when you finished.
Can I see them again?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I need to see them.
It's just like,
Oh, fantastic. Where do the slates?
here, you can go to the chart.
Oh, that's even better.
No, that's perfect.
I'll go first, then you go second.
Can you slide over?
Yeah, just...
so many. I don't want to feel a quiz.
I like, babies, okay.
This is just like what you identify most with.
Okay.
Don't worry about the quiz
Mm.
that you don't know exists yet. Is that good?
Okay, I think so.
Okay. Let's go around and share which worldview you identify with.
Well, I don't think there was one that was like I like 100% identify with, but I think the most it was relativism. The one part I don't agree with is that there's like the lack of spirituality, because I do think that there's like something in the universe for God. So that's like the one thing I would disagree with it. But if out of all of them, it would be that one.
Well,
Christianity.
why? Why is that your worldview?
Huh?
Why is that your worldview?
I mean, I'm the only Christian in my family, and I came to believe in God when I was in sixth grade. Like, just a lot of like praying happened, and it's like a lot of asking questions about what I didn't understand to my teachers, and
Okay, probably like the deism one, because that said like God gives you like truth and like moral knowledge, and so like, yeah.
Okay. Now that we've all shared our worldviews, we're going to have a discussion on the assumptions that we might hold about other worldviews and how that can affect our behavior towards them. The first question that I want to pose to the group is, what assumptions are associated with your worldview?
I'll be honest, this is the first time I'm hearing of relativism. But I know like some people do have an issue with like having no spirituality or like religion to look up to. So it might be like criticized in that sense. But other than that, like I don't know much about it.
I feel like with mine, like with deism, it's like kind of weird because it's like almost Christianity, but it like doesn't believe that like your sins need to be like saved by Jesus, I guess. And so like, I don't know, like you could be criticized for that.
an assumption is like all Christians like try to force religion upon others, and like in a bad way, like, oh, if you don't believe in God, you go to hell. Well, that may be true, like not all Christians are like that, just some.
Right.
Yeah.
The second question is, which worldview do you think receives the most judgment due to assumptions by others, and why do you think this is?
Oh wait, let me see the list. You want to go all the way?
Yeah.
I think. Wait, what does that even say? Hedonism?
Hedonism.
I think it might be that.
What?
Because that one is like no spirituality,
And it's
like,
also
and
like,
life is all about like, seeking pleasure and avoiding pain.
yeah, I feel like that would get a lot of criticism just because like I feel like the longer you live, the more you know that you shouldn't avoid painful things because like it'll end up just like hurting you in the long run. But I'd say that one, and also like sometimes Christianity, because like Christians obviously get a lot of hate in the world, but like there's also some people who have no issue with Christianity. So I think it obviously depends from person to person, but I'd say it's either the first one or Christianity.
Yeah, I think Christianity, based on like, gets hate the most. Like going to social media, you don't see anything about humanism at all. It's all about Christianity. Like if a Christian does something wrong, they automatically get judged for it, and it's brought up like, oh, like you're doing this wrong, aren't you Christian? Like, they just get the most hate, like in our current era. So it's like, everybody in our generation is like, I don't know, not everybody, but
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot.
I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like Judaism gets a lot of hate too.
Yeah, Judaism just like throughout history, like culturally gets a lot of hate for
You think there's like a specific
no
reason?
reason.
Well, I know Judaism. I feel like Judaism gets a lot of hate like right now for like just the region of the world that like a lot of Jews live in.
Yeah, there's a lot of conflict in
There's a
Israel
lot of
with
conflict.
Palestinians and like Israeli Jews, but also like in the past 100 years, with like World War II, there was a lot of conflict because of that. And part of it is still because of that, but yeah, there's other factors though.
The third question is, do you think that we change the way we talk and act based on who we're around and what worldview they have?
Yes.
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 Like,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Why? Do you think it's like beneficial or harmful?
Well, like in our generation, we kind of like we're super split, I would say, and we can't have like a normal debate with each other. Like it always ends up with one side like trying to yell at the other and not actually listening to what the other side has to say, and then like, and where some people are they just think they're always right and they don't want to listen to others and keep trying to push their beliefs into others.
Yeah, and I feel like it's probably easier for like a lot of people to conform because they just don't want conflict. Like if they're talking to somebody else who has like different views, they just don't want the conflict, so they'll just like pretend like it's not there by like conforming.
Yeah. Again, I think it's like not everyone who is very much like trying to attack people with opposite views. Like as with any situation, not everyone's like that, obviously, but I do know people like our age that are more mature and can handle a political conversation with some of the opposing views. But I also know that like sometimes people just avoid those topics because they don't want conflict. They want to stay friends and like not have any bad blood between people.
For sure. I think it's like the majority of people right now just like attacks. Like there's been so much hate on Republicans and like Democrats. Just boom.
What I've noticed here, at least at this school, is that within friends, within conversations, like politics and religion is not brought up a lot, but it happens a lot behind the scenes.
Yeah, I feel like that's because people here are like intentionally trying to avoid it.
There's a
They're like-
reason
Because
why
we
There's
know,
just no
like,
point.
everyone has such strong opinions here.
Yeah, it's like there's just like not a point in bringing it up because like if you argue, like
yeah,
I feel like most people like cannot have just like an
Yeah.
actual conversation about something.
yeah. Like from the election, you can tell like why
Yeah.
you're avoiding it.
And so they just bring it to an extreme of just like not talking about any of their like personal views like at all.
So there are good and bad parts to every worldview, and just because it might be different from ours doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. After this training session, you should all be able to tell the difference between several worldviews. If you could all take this quiz
Like
and
that.
try and match the worldview to its beliefs. Just try your best. Asha is killing it right now. Wow.
Wait, what? I've answered after one.
Just try your best, guys. Just get one right. Heads down when you're done.
Okay, copy my work.
Wait, that would have been smart. Okay, good.
Oh, that's a lot different from what I said.
I'm gonna assume that you all passed. So, does anyone have any questions or any closing statements about worldviews and assumptions and how we can like change for the better? Take some time to
How come
navigate.
like, because there were like obviously some like religious views up there. How come like Islam wasn't, or I don't know, like, well, like there were only two really religions out there, Christianity and Judaism. Like, why weren't more included? Or maybe wait, it wasn't deism.
Wait, one of them had like Buddha underneath it.
Okay,
Right.
that would be for religion probably, but like Islam or any other religions.
Yeah, we were just provided this chart by our
Okay.
teacher, so it was probably just like a small sample.
Gotcha.
I feel like Islam's kind of similar to some of the others.
Yeah, because Judaism, Christianity, Islam have like
It's like similar.
the same core stories.
But isn't like Muslim like a big topic these days?
Yeah, that's.
I was like, okay.
We'll take that in the next training session.
Provide some feedback.
Alright, thank you for participating.
Okay, so let's see.
Oh.
Oh, fun.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh.
How fun.
Oh, I totally forgot.
Hello, my name is Sanel. So today I'm going to teach you about the different personality types and how to communicate effectively with consideration of the personality types. The objective from this module is for participants to be able to identify which personality type they fit in with and be able to list 2 strengths and a weakness. They will also be able to answer questions with appropriate communication strategies. After training, participants will be able to define the communication strategies and be able to apply them to real-life situations. In our textbooks, we learned about different personality types and the colors that they are associated with. When I go through the chart, I would like you to think which color you fit in with best. You may feel that you fall under multiple colors, but for this training session, I would like for you to pick one that you fit with best. Also, I would like for you to have an example as to why you fit under the color that you chose. Okay, so in the chart, red has a symbol of fire. People who associate with red feel that they are more of a leader. Some of the strengths tend to be they're driven, task-oriented, takes charge, and they're list makers. Some of the weaknesses are being impatient or insensitive. The next color on the chart is yellow. Yellow has a symbol of sunshine. People who fit in to this category are more of the peacemakers in society. Some of the strengths that these people possess are they're helpful, wanting others to be happy, they're optimistic, they're friendly and positive. The weaknesses would be that they are indecisive. Green has the symbol of data or spreadsheets. These people tend to be the rule followers. These people are data-driven, organized, analytical, like rubrics and guides, handbooks, and or manuals. These people are slow to move and to initiate. They're not spontaneous, they're socially awkward, they're easily flustered when plans do not work, and they are literal. Blue has a symbol of the sky and birds. Someone who is blue is a people person. They are spontaneous, relaxed, go with the flow, they're loyal, relationship builder, and they're more of a connector type of person. The negatives would be that they tend to procrastinate, they overextend themselves, and they ask for exceptions. I will give you guys a couple minutes to come up with your examples and what color you fit in with.
You write on back your paper.
But what do you mean by examples? Just
Like
why?
Like
why,
examples
like,
of why we like.
yeah,
pick
like
blue.
why would you say, like, what
Gotcha.
strengths like speak to you the most, or what weaknesses speak to you the most? Things kind of like that.
I'm literally such a procrastinator.
Are you guys
So bad.
ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. If you could you please share?
Yeah, so I said blue because blue says relaxed and go with the flow, and I think that like perfectly describes me. And then the weakness was procrastinates, and I'm a really bad procrastinator.
I said red because like when I'm passionate about something, I get really hearty about it. Like I just get my point across, I guess. And like when I need to get something done, like I'll almost always get it done. Like I don't want to just leave it like, oh, like I'm gonna finish it in time and I'm gonna do it. Like I'm gonna find some way to finish it. And yeah, and then weakness, impatience. Yeah, I'm pretty impatient for sure. But there's definitely like some stuff from other colors that I can also identify with, but mostly red.
Yeah, I said red too, just because I like getting stuff done. I like taking charge because that means that like I'm just like I know what's going on and I know how like when stuff is gonna get done. A weakness definitely is that I'm really impatient. But yeah, kind of like Will. Like if I'm really passionate about something, then I just like want to get that done. Like I have my list, I get it done, and it's awesome. I put blue in parentheses because I do like to be spontaneous and do like to build those connections, but like it was mostly just red.
Yeah, I think all of us, when we did this in class, all struggled to really just pick one, since there are definitely different strengths and weaknesses that we all have that kind of fit into different categories. But the goal of this module is for you guys to be able to understand the personality types and how to best communicate with them. There are personality types that would somewhat clash. An example of this would be green and blue. Green is a rule follower and blue goes with the flow. This could be very irritating for the people who want to follow the rules. Some of this is going to sound like common sense, but that is not the reason that I'm teaching you this today. I'm teaching you this today so that you can assess whether or not you're able to do these things in order to solve conflict with others. The best way to avoid conflict is being able to communicate well about your thoughts and feelings. One of the most important things that almost everyone needs to work on is gracious listening. In order to be a gracious listener, you need to be an active listener. Active listening is mindful, effortful, and receiver-focused. This will require you to turn your full attention to someone else so that you can track their thoughts and emotions. This will allow you to really understand where someone is coming from. If you understand where someone is coming from, then you will be able to make better decisions about how to resolve the conflict. Another suggestion is for you to be open to new ideas, even if they do not go with what you believe. Because if you understand the idea and where the person is coming from, then you'll be able to understand why they believe in that idea. Another suggestion is to prevent conflict is to create boundaries. An example would be to not talk about certain topics. The final suggestion would be to be aware of the body language that you use. Body language goes with being an active listener, because if you're being an active listener, you are most likely to have more positive body language. For some people, this is harder than others. For example, red people tend to need to be careful when they are talking with someone who's expressing their emotions, because red might signal to the person that they are not interested. This can be very frustrating for everyone, because the red person does not know why this person is upset at them, and the other person doesn't know why the red person doesn't care. Some positive body language indicators are eye contact, sitting up straight, and smiling in some cases. Negative body indicators would be crossing your arms, furrowing your brow, and no eye contact. These are suggestions to try and solve some conflicts between people. For the last portion of this module, I would like to give you guys a scenario, and I would like it if you guys would state some things that could help. So there are two students working on a group project. One of these people happen to be a person that has a leader type of personality, so they're more of a red person, and the other is more of a people person and struggles with procrastination, so they're more of a blue person. What would be some things that we talked about that would be helpful in the situation when conflict arises, like the procrastinator is not doing their work?
Yeah, I mean, in the past, been in this position before. You usually like at that specific time, like what I did was, since they procrastinated, I just I got kind of mad at them and just left them aside and just did it with my other group people because I just didn't want to deal with them.
And would you say that was a positive communication strategy? Or
it's quite negative, but that was like in high school. So I mean, I've learned to like communicate with you better and telling them like, yeah, so like our project is due soon. Can you please finish your part? If you need help, we can explain it to you guys better.
Yeah, I would say like the main thing you could do is like give them reminders every so often, but it is their responsibility to get their part done. So if you like say like, hey, you need to get this done every so often, they just don't do it, and that's on them.
I think the best thing to do would be for the red person to like ask the blue person to like do it together. Like, because if they're working on it together at the same time, then the blue person like won't have a reason to procrastinate and like won't be able to procrastinate.
That's okay.
And they'll have like the motivation to like do it like while they're together like working
What
on
if
it.
the blue just like pretends they're doing it and then lets the other person do everything else?
I don't know. I feel like you have to be a really like you have to have like a really bad procrastination habit to like pretend to do work with somebody.
And if
And
it's
just like not like if you're sitting in a study room and like you're like working on a project together to just pretend like you're working on it for like an hour, like, you gotta be pretty bad.
Yeah, it also depends on like how independent the project would be. If it's very much just like only one person does at a time, then like that might become an issue. But if it's more collaborative, then that would be a good idea because the right person's gonna like push the other person to get it done, just kind of like inspire them, I guess, but or not inspire, but influence. I don't know the right word. But yeah, that's it. I like that.
Perfect. Thank you for your answers. The next scenario is Johnny is trying to be better at being an active listener. He has been told that he tends to be impatient and insensitive. What personality type does Johnny have, and what are some things that he can work on in order to not seem insensitive and impatient?
He's red.
Oh, he's right.
He's right.
Good job. You're listening. Some things he can work on.
I think one thing he could try is putting himself in the other person's shoes. If you were to like talk to someone, just think like, how would I want to be spoken to about this certain topic, or how would I want someone to talk to me about this?
Just listening to them. I mean,
Keep an open mind.
yeah. It's like if they're actually sad, like don't just like pretend you're listening. Just actually listen and give some good advice.
Active listener, yeah.
Yeah, listen.
Yeah, I mean, I think that covers it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Put your phone down. Have that eye contact. Something.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So for the final question, can everyone go around and say which personality types or color that they are, and list 2 strengths and 1 weakness that color has?
I mean, like, I started off saying red, but I feel like I'm not insensitive towards people, so now I don't know. But let's just say it's still red. One strength is that I get stuff done, and I'm very much task oriented. A weakness is that I'm impatient. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she kind of covers it. Like task oriented. I'd say like getting stuff done, passionate about stuff. The only thing I don't agree with in the red category is the insensitive part.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm a pretty sensitive person. I like to like listen to others and help others.
Yeah.
Which kind of doesn't make sense because like if you're a leader type personality,
I feel like you
You're
have to be
supposed to-
empathetic.
yeah,
Just a
like,
little bit.
that
Yeah.
I kind of the insensitive part kind of what's that word? Like it.
And I feel like neither of you two are insensitive. So like, is there like can you be mixed? Like mixed
Yeah,
two types?
definitely. Yeah.
I mean, everyone's mixed,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like, we all,
Yeah.
yeah, but like, we always have one
Yeah.
like main
Maybe.
main color.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the insensitive thing just contradicts the leader
Yeah.
personality type.
Yeah, I was reading like the
I feel
video.
like and I feel like it'd be better if we took the person like the ENTP or something like that test
There's more options.
instead of
than
just colors, just kind of stupid.
Wait, what is that?
It's like the different
The
personality.
Myers-Briggs test.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
There's like
it's
all-
really
yeah.
it's really
there's like
really
16 different
complicated.
personalities.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh.
Never heard of that.
We'll take it after this.
it's
Yeah,
really
I'm gonna
interesting.
take it- I'm gonna
After.
take it after. Yeah, so mine was blue, and I think like one of the strengths was it's a people person, and then one of them was they're like go with the flow and relaxed. But then the weakness was procrastination.
I mean, we all kind of suffer with procrastination.
Do you guys have any last questions?
Yeah, what are your guys' personality types?
Well, I said I'm a blue because I feel like I'm a big people person. I love making friends. And I said a big procrastinator too. So that's it. Alright, thank you.
I think I'm a red because I am very task oriented and like to get things done, and I do fall under the insensitive category.
Be honest.
She's self-aware.
She's self-aware.
Yeah,
I wish she knows.
Yeah, that's kind of mine. I'm very in between green and red, but I mean, I'm addicted to making lists, and I'm very organized, and I'm impatient, very impatient, and can very much tend to be insensitive.
Yeah.
I'll show all the group chats
That's
for
really
the
true.
project.
Yeah. Okay. Now, will you show the mind presentation?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Monica, and today I'm going to be walking y'all through a path to identify each of your own temper rules of life. Next slide. So, a rule of life is a commitment to live in a particular way. Your rule of life for each section will align with your worldview and the way you see your life in an ideal way. Each of you will curate rules of life in the categories of spirit, body, mind, relationships, home, work, and resources, which all come together to make your whole self. These rules come out of many influences in your life, such as upbringing, parents, friends, and social media, and are subject to change based on prayer and discernment with the way God created us each uniquely. Originally, the rule of life was created to translate faith into habits and rhythms of daily life. It serves as a gentle guide that keeps us trained towards God. As with many things, it is not meant to be lived perfectly, but rather faithfully. The purpose of creating a rule of life is to be intentional about the forces and dynamics that shape who we're becoming, which is especially prevalent in college years. When we choose our priorities, postures, practices, and rhythms to shape who we are, our actions become more natural, joyful, sustainable, and effective because they flow from our identity. By definition, posture is a particular way of dealing with or considering something, an approach or attitude, or the way someone behaves or thinks in a particular situation. Posture is the way we embody our values and priorities. Circumstances may be fixed outside of our control, but the way we view the situation or react is not. Posture is defined as a particular way of dealing with or considering something, an approach or attitude, or the way someone behaves or thinks in a particular situation. Practices, as you can imagine, are certain things that we do every day. Practices are subject to change as we go along in life. The needs of our hearts, families, homes, and work all have the ability to change your practices. By definition, practice means the actual application of an idea, belief, or method, as opposed to theories relating to it, the customary, habitual, or expected posture or way of doing something. Lastly, a rhythm is a way of living that allows us to willingly and gratefully surrender ourselves to a sustainable pattern of living. The definition is a regularly reoccurring and harmonious sequence of events, actions, or processes. With all of these in mind, we are going to have to move into constructing our own rules of life. I'm going to give you this paper, and you will see 6 of the categories that we will walk through.
Oh, okay.
6.
Nice.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Okay. So first is spirit. So as an example, my rule of life for spirit is no matter the situation I'm put in life, I want to keep my spirit positive, knowing that my joy comes from the Lord. Some things to consider when constructing your own statement are: how are you tending to your soul? How are you and God connecting? What words would you use to describe the way your spirit feels? So now you can go ahead and write your rule of life on the according line.
life for spirit?
Yeah, just the spirit one. So I can repeat those questions if you need me to.
Yeah, can you repeat them?
Yes. So, how are you tending to your soul? How are you and God connecting? What words would you use to describe the way your spirit feels? So these, like, your rule of life is something that like guides your future endeavors in this category of your life.
Thank you. Anyway, you must. Thank you.
Next, is everyone finished?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Next is body. So, what habits are you keeping with your body? What new habits would you like to cultivate? How does your physical body feel these days? How is your energy level set? So, my body rule of life is I want to keep my body in active working order so that I will never be disabled to do anything life asks because of my body. Okay. So next is mind. So some questions to consider are, what are you learning? What would you like to learn? What has been occupying your thoughts recently? How is the quality of your focus and presence? And my example for the rule of life that I chose for mine is I want to keep my mind in a state of constant learning and out of stagnant mental state. Okay, so next is relationships. So my example for relationships for rule of life is I want my personality to remain fully authentic in each relationship in a way that God can be glorified through me. So some questions to consider when constructing your rule of life in the category of relationships is, what is going well in your relationships? How are you treating the people around you? What relationships need tending? And how can you build into the lives of those who matter to you? Okay, so next is home. My example is I want to take what I have learned from my family and go out into the world with that to eventually have a family to lead in my own way. So the question to consider for this one is, what do you love about your home life? How does it support and comfort you in your current season of life? What needs attention? So when you're thinking about your home life, you can think about the way that you live in your dorm as well as how you live at home, or just one or the other. Okay, so next is work. How is your work energizing you? How is it draining you? What words would you describe your posture towards your work right now? And where do you see God moving in your workplace? So for my example is no matter which area of work I'm in, I want my occupation to be able to glorify God by helping His kingdom. Okay, so the last category is resources. My example is because the Lord provides for me, I want to provide any access I have for the less fortunate. So some things to consider is how are you stewarding what has been given to you? This includes your time, money, energy, possessions, education, or experience. Okay, so now that we all have our rules of life written out, I'm going to give you some time to think about how these rules have been present in your life before they were explicitly thought about and written down. Currently in your life, how will these affect your future? So on your paper, I'm going to have you write 2 of the daily priorities, postures, practices, or rhythms in your past that align with the rules that you just wrote. So like an example would be like for your body goal, if you want to like stay in shape, like a past practice is do you go to the gym like twice a week or something. That was something that you previously did before writing this rule of life. Okay. So next, I'm going to have you write 2 priorities, postures, practices, or rhythms that will be effective in your future because of writing these rules. Okay. The purpose of these last 2 activities was to recognize that your rules of life are not simply made up. These rules come out of many different influences on your life, such as your upbringing, your parents, your friends, social media, and are subject to change based on your prayer and discernment and with the way God created us each uniquely for each season of life. Thank you so much for spending your time with us this evening, and I hope you learned a few new things.